All right, well, hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of this weekly review, I guess. Having a little bit of tea. Well, we're taking a look at how we are doing with our weight loss and sort of checking all all the stuff that we're tracking to make sure that we're headed in the right direction. And this last week was good. We are currently reviewing week 7, which was the week between July 1st and July 7th. And again, remember you're getting this a week late because that's just the schedule that I'm on. Now let's just get started real quick. Our target weight for this week was 299, and this is what was a little tricky because for the first time we have actually gained weight. We were 302.6 for the week starting on June 24th, and then this past week starting on July 1st, we're 303.4. And then remember that this is the average weight for the week, and so which is what we're measuring, and so we have gone up for the first time since. Now, something interesting that happened, and I don't like that this thing is not really updating. It's not using the decimal points. I might have to figure that one out at some point. The target for this week in terms of body fat percentage, we're supposed to be at 39.9, but we're actually still at 42. I mean, technically it was 41.7. This one, so it did go down a little bit from the week before, but because it's not showing the specifics, I'm gonna have to figure out why that one isn't doing it. But anyway, it went down a little bit, and that's what is causing my lean body mass to be calculated a little bit higher. Now, I think that this might be a little bit of a fluke because I don't think that I was at 177.7, so 177.7 pounds of lean body mass, then drop a lot of muscle to 174.3, and then the following week gain it back and get back to 176.9. I don't know if that is correct. So that might just be the deviation or the fact that some of these measurements aren't like super like clinically exact. And so, I don't know. This is kind of funky here, and I don't like it, but is what we got. So I'm guessing that this might be, I don't know, something might have been a little bit off in terms of this guy. Because the body fat percentage did go down a little bit for this one, which means that this goes up, but then something like what happened here. But overall, we're a little behind. We're a couple weeks behind. But again, we're only on week 7, and we have like 60-something weeks to make this happen. So we're gonna get there. We're getting there. We're still good. We're above our 176 target for lean body mass. And so that is good to see. Now, look at this, you guys. This is something that I'm very excited about, which is my blood pressure. For the first time since we started this, my systolic and my diastolic are both in perfect, awesome range. Finally, my blood pressure is in normal range, basically. This one has been good from the beginning, my diastolic, but this one, my systolic, has been a little elevated above 120 since we started. And then for the first time, we are at 114, which is delicious. This is perfect. This is exactly where we want to be. We don't want to go above 120. We don't want to be above 80 for this one. So on that front, we're good. Now let's move on to nutrition and take a look at calories. So our target is to consume 2,500 calories, and we have our average for this week was 2465, so this is perfect. Again, like I mentioned before, we want to be between these two, between 24 and 26. Anything and there's probably acceptable. And so in that way, we're good. Now, the target for daily caloric burn, or daily calorie burn, is to be at least 3,500 or 3,500. So anything between 34 and 36 is probably good, and we're at 3,502. I mean, like that was... if you're wondering how I'm calculating this, is with this thing. It's an Aura ring, and it's like an activity tracker. I think most activity trackers have a way of calculating that based on your age, your probably your weight, your age. I don't know what else they ask for, but that any activity tracker should be able to calculate this number, which then helps us figure out how much of a caloric deficit we can create. And so about 1,000 calorie deficit per day is probably the upper limit of what anyone should be doing, if I understand it correctly. So this is why we're at that, and it seems to line up with what we're trying to do. And so that works. Now, my morning fat burn, as measured by my Lumen device, the little device that I use to measure my metabolism, was a little bit higher. I got a couple of threes, and so the average is 2.33 for the week. And, we want to be under 2, so we're definitely not there yet. But we keep at it. I mean, I guess I did have more carbs. My carb intake was a little bit... Actually, it was lower than the week before. So why the hell? I don't know. Metabolism is a complex thing. It feels like such a cop-out, but that's something that Lumen does. Like when you get a high reading, you go through like explain my result, and they start asking you questions. And then if none of the things that they suspect are the culprits, you just tell them, I did none of those things. They just say like, well, metabolism is a complex thing, and don't fret. And so I understand that that's what it is, but it just feels like such a fucking... It just feels that we don't fully understand everything yet. So I think that's where we are. So we don't really have... I mean, as long as we're staying under the carbs that Lumen recommends for the day, it's good, but there isn't a weekly average, a target that we're going for. Same thing with fat. But there is one with protein. We're trying to get to 176 grams of protein per day, which is basically 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass, which is why we always want to be calculating this. And so my ideal weight, my ideal body mass, like lean body mass, is 176. That's what we're trying to maintain. And so this is why we're trying to do 1 gram per each one of those pounds that we're trying to maintain as lean body mass. We were low, only 120. And again, we need to find ways to keep... I need to find a better way to keep putting protein, getting more protein in me. And so we're going to have to figure that one out. But this is basically where we are in terms of what we're doing. I don't know. Sorry, I got distracted there. Just thinking about this. Okay, now we're going into sleep. Now, last week it was a little bit lower than we wanted to be at 73, and so I'm happy to report that we're up a little bit again. We're at 76, and this is also a score that my Oura Ring measures, sort of like all the things that go into getting a good night's sleep, and gives me like an average score, or I guess uses all of those things like body temperature and heart rate and blood oxygen and all that stuff to make sure. They say that anything above 85 is like excellent sleep, and that's what we're trying to get to. But the closest we've gotten is 80. That was the average for about 2 weeks. And now this is 76. It's a little bit better, but it can continue to improve. Now, this is the total amount of sleep that we got, so it's also a little bit higher from last week. Last week we were averaging 394 minutes per night. This week we were averaging 422. which is a little bit better. Still about an hour short of 480 minutes. So it's about 7 hours. The reason I have this in minutes is because the Notion database doesn't have a way of doing like 7 hours and 2 minutes. I have to calculate it as a single unit, as a single measurement. And so minutes is the best one. And, it's a little awkward to look at it this way. It feels unnatural. So like, I slept 422 minutes, but it's what we got. So keep improving. We need to. I had some trouble for these couple weeks. I had some trouble with my CPAP, not the CPAP, but the mask that I was using, and so I feel the need sometimes to explain some of these things in case somebody doesn't know. But I don't know if it's necessary. You guys can let me know in the comments. But I have sleep apnea, and I use a CPAP machine to sleep as a treatment for that sleep apnea. And sometimes the mask can get a little funky, or something happens and it's not fitting quite right, and that can affect your quality of sleep. And so I'm glad to report that has continued to improve, and that's shown here. This is the AHI, so the apnea-hypopnea index, which basically measures how well your sleep apnea treatment is working. And it was a little high, 6.7. You want it to be under 5, as we can see here in the target. We want it to be under 5. That's sort of where we want to be. Anything over 5, and then technically you're still experiencing sleep apnea. Anything under 5, and your sleep apnea is being managed well. Like anything under 5 is good. So 6.7 was 2 weeks ago, 6.1, and then we get to 5 this week. I think it's actually like 4.97, but that's 5 for all intents and purposes. So this is good. This is good. We want it to go as low as possible, but for right now, this is good. A 5 is good. And now, finally, let's move on to activity. So of the things that we're doing, one of them is steps. And look how inconsistent. I don't know if inconsistent is the word, but yeah, I guess inconsistent if you look at it in this way is not consistent. It's like 1 week up, 1 week down, 1 week up, 1 week down, 1 week up, 1 week down. And so last week was an excellent week. We averaged 10,000 steps. This past week, not so much, 7,000. Our target is 8,000 steps, and we didn't quite get there, but 7,000 is not terrible. I had some days where I just wasn't as active, and if you get 1 or 2 bad days, that kind of doesn't like ruin the week, but this is what happens. So 7,000 steps on average. We're going to try to get that back up this week. And then the weekly average activity goal percentage. So again, as I explain every week, this is the activity goal that my Oura Ring gives me for the day. So I should try to meet 100% of it or more, which means that I'm meeting my activity goal every day on average. And we've been good for the most part. Like everything has been like above 100. Like last week, 166 was like great. We almost got there. This is the first week since we started measuring that we've been under. I believe, yeah, this was 107, 109, 112. And this is 97. So it's still okay, but it goes to show how these things are related. And then VO2 max is we're still kind of hanging at 27. Didn't make any improvements. I'm not training specifically for this. I'm not training to improve my VO2 max in that way, or in a way that is more purposeful. And so maybe that's something that we can look into at some point. But it's good to have it on record. So that's what we got. All right, you guys, so this is how we are faring this week. We continue to struggle a little bit in terms of what it all means, I guess. I'm trying to figure out how to keep moving and keep finding ways to find the motivation to get the motivation that I need to keep going in a way that is a little more enjoyable, because I tend to get really depressed. And so I'm trying to figure out ways to make it more entertaining, more interactive, and that hopefully that in and of itself keeps adding in creating a system that helps my motivation, because clearly I need it. If I were motivated without it, then we wouldn't need to be doing this. I would have done it a long time ago. So we keep working at it, and that is it. I will see you guys tomorrow for a workout. All right.